uh, medical history, anything like that. And then we're going to leave you with additional learning resources, basically. Okay. So truly, today, if you think about it, everything is connected. Be with your phone, your refrigerator, your computer, everything is a connected world. It is very important for us to know how do you practice safe online habits, right? So going first one, being aware of the threats is important. When you conduct your online activity, how do you make sure that you are aware of the threats, whether we use it an application or app from a mobile device or from a desktop, right? And then how do you make sure that you use your technology safely? For example, use antivirus on your laptop. And then be careful when you add a friend, even though you may or may not know the friend, when you get request in your social network, make sure that you know who you are accepting as your friend. And then the most important one, think before you click. For example, you may receive an email stating, hey, you have won some $50 cash card. Think before you click because some of them may not be a legit site when you go. So think, do you really want to accept or not? And then the next one is use your password, strong password, I would say. Don't use welcome 123 password one. Something called, we always call in cybersecurity world, brute force attack, where somebody can really, with the sophisticated software, they can crack the password. Use complex password like 10 to 12 characters and change the password regularly. Don't password same for all your applications. For example, you may log into your school network. Use different passwords for each of your applications. And then the last one is keep your personal information not to be shared with anyone unless you know it is a genuine website. Talk to your friends, parents before you share your birth date or your social security number. And these are all the kind of awareness that would help you to have a safe digital environment. Any questions? Any questions? All right. So I'll hand it over to my colleague Hamisha Patel, who's going to walk you through the rest of the slides. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hamisha Patel. I'm an advisory senior consultant at Deloitte, and I've been doing cybersecurity for about 4 years, and I think I have about 8 years of corporate experience in general. So I'll go through the rest of the slides. And as Naveen mentioned, so what he gave was a bit of an introduction into what is cybersecurity awareness. So this will kind of go over why it is important. So, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to go over why cybersecurity awareness is important. And it will help students such as yourselves find ways to protect yourselves from cyber attacks. Um, One of the major contributing factors to cyber attacks is human error. And because of this, it leads to small weaknesses within code. So anyone with malicious intent can take advantage of this and cause cyber attacks and um, cause issues towards an individual. So one of the ways to prevent and protect yourself from potential threats is to know about cybersecurity awareness. And this important is knowledgeable not just for you, but also for friends and family as well. So it's really a way to protect people of all ages. And then some of the data that we'll talk about a little bit later will include PII and then PHI. And knowing about cybersecurity awareness prevents identity theft and cyberbullying. And then every October, the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month happens, and CISA and the National Cybersecurity Alliance raise awareness for this. I guess I'll stop there if there were any questions on that. Okay, so then next are cybersecurity terminologies. Some of these you might have heard of commonly, maybe even earlier today, as they're kind of known terms these days. So, first we have phishing, which is a fraudulent email which aims to collect the sensitive information from a recipient. One of the ways that people do this is through a malicious link sent to an email. And then when you click on the link, it tries to gain access to personalized data. Another type of subcategory, and there are two, smishing and vishing, which is basically a phishing cybersecurity attack, either carried out through a voice message or through SMS mobile text messaging. Another common term is baiting, which involves using physical goods, so either CD, storage, USB, or laptop to see what's on it. So the way it does this, it kind of leaves out a physical good and it tricks the user into seeing what's on that item. And then for malware and ransomware, so malware is a type of malicious software or code which is designed to compromise a system. And then a subsection of that is ransomware, which is designed to block access once you put it into a computer system until a sum of money is being paid. And then I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but one of the reasons for cybersecurity awareness is to prevent things like identity theft, credit card fraud, which is basically a crime which wrongfully gains another person's information. So all these terms in general are examples of social engineering. Social engineering includes phishing, smishing, malware, ransomware, and baiting as well. And then on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about MFA. So MFA is kind of a common practice that has come up recently. It's using two or more authentication devices. So examples of this would be Face ID scans or sending one-time password to your email. And then cyberbullying, which is the use of electronic communication to bully a person. And usually these messages are threatening or intimidating in nature. Okay. And then for the last topic we wanted to cover, so this will include methods to protect your online. Yep. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. So
So I'll repeat the question. You basically wanted to know, how do you identify if something is phishing? Yeah. So some of the common things that we usually detect when it comes to phishing email is, look for an urgency in the email that says, hey, click this link within 30 minutes, otherwise it'll expire. Then look for spelling mistakes. For example, you may get it may look like genuine email from Amazon, but it may come from different source, like spelling mistake. And look for something that's sent out like with the in the body of the email. Look for something that talks about making you to read a lot of spelling mistakes, and then the content itself will have some sports messages not related to what they are asking you when they say you have $50 cash card. So those are the kind of the hints you can pick up, so that you can see it's almost okay, it's kind of email that I don't trust, or don't see that it's a genuine. Did I answer the question? Thank you. Good question.
And I'll just add on to that. So, I mean, I think even at the basic sense, even just checking the sender email address. So, if you normally receive emails from like a .edu email address, but then you see something similar with a similar name, but it's like a Gmail. So, just even taking time to look at like the sender address, the subject line is also important to flag phishing attempts as well. Are there any other questions right now? Sure. Yeah. Okay. So the question was, if you have malware on your computer, could it cause a virus? So yes, definitely. If you do have malware on your computer, it can cause a virus. The point of malware is that they try to gain unauthorized access to your computer, or they try to get personalized information or files from your computer. So it's definitely a possibility. And I think one of the bullet points we have here is one of the tips to avoid that is to use antivirus software, or also just to report, when you see some of these attempts. Do you want to add anything? Okay. Any other questions? All right. So then, for ways to protect yourself, so here we just have a couple of tips to protect your online presence. And knowing tips on how to protect yourself just leads to a safer digital environment and just a safer way for you to protect your identity. So I think some of these were touched upon earlier, but creating long and unique passwords. So the recommendation is usually to have maybe 12, more than 12 or 16 characters, to use a mix of uppercase and lowercase, and then a mix of numbers and symbols as well. Um, for enabling MFA, so a lot of phones have this nowadays. So Face ID scans, fingerprint scans, that's a secondary authentication in addition to your password. So something that's unique. And then a lot of applications nowadays will send a one-time password to your email or mobile device just to verify your identity. So, thinking before you click and even protecting private information. So, for this, we want to consider the sites that we're going to. So, a lot of sites nowadays may ask for a combination of your PII, which is your name, address, birthday, social security number. So, definitely consider the site before you enter in that information. Is it a government site? What type of site it is? Uh, for a hacker who may have a combination of those items, they could use it to identify an individual and potentially lead to identity theft or other types of fraudulent behavior. So anytime you have an unfamiliar site, just want to be careful before clicking on it. So, reporting phishing, there are now email programs and social media platforms which allow you to report phishing attempts, but also just blocking any senders, emails, or any sort of social media phishing attempts when you see them from your phone. Sharing with care. So this one has become a lot more popular with a lot of location sharing apps, but just to be careful when you share or post videos or photos, especially with location, at least being mindful of knowing who is your audience, um, when it comes to location safety. And then using new passwords. So a recommendation for this is to rotate your password often, or at least for different applications, to use different types of passwords. And then antivirus software, we spoke about this for your question. Having your laptop or devices up to date on all of its updates and having antivirus software will definitely help prevent hackers. And then finally, just reviewing details before you put into information into any site or application as well. Okay, so the last slide is just a list of resources provided by CISA, which is the Cybersecurity um, Alliance. Um, are there any other questions? Sure.
It's a very good question. So in the market, there are a lot of applications. For example, some of the leading products that you can use to store your password. Those passwords are typically encrypted, meaning normal person cannot read it, only you. But the advice is to make sure that even to get into that password safe, what we call, make sure that you rotate that password regularly. It's like people may have keys to the kingdom. Just make sure that where you are storing your passwords, make sure that you rotate that master password very regularly. And I know some of these computers do have their own password, like keychain and others you could use. but make sure rotating the password is always good, and have complex password like 20 to 12 characters, including the symbols, numbers, lowercase, uppercase, always better. Any other questions? Any questions online? Okay. All right. I hope this session is very useful for you. You have a question? Good question. How many degrees? Well, it depends on the nature of the job, but one of the focus for this, as I know, for this session is to have your career in cybersecurity. Having there are the additional resources what we have listed here. When you go there, you have different fields of jobs within cybersecurity. For example, you could be a forensics expert, you could be a data security expert. So there are so many other ways, but start with the links what we have shared here. You will see the list of all the courses, the degrees you can attain to get into cybersecurity. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking time. I hope for this session you found it very useful. Thank you.
Hey guys, just to let you know, thank you. There's gonna be closing remarks in this room. So if you guys wanted to hang out for the closing session, that'll be here. If your chaperone, your school says, nope, we're leaving early, not a problem. We understand. Go ahead and do that. But I just wanted to let you know that closing remarks will be in here.